I'm very happy to invite my dear brother and my friend Mana to be with us. Mana was one of my DTS classmates here, so we went to Dominican Republic for our trip. And I remember Mana was one of the really close friends during those hard times for me. Yeah, when I was lonely, when I was struggled. But actually, he is very, very young. Yeah, he's very at the same age of my brother. So today I invite him to do this interview is because I really feel like what happened in his life will encourage a lot of young people, especially people who suffer from this, pandemic or COVID. Yeah, that's why you are here. Thank you, Mana, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
How do you see 2020 and 2021? Basically, after your graduation from high school, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the year 2020 was a lot of mental and spiritual pain. Mm-hmm. And it kind of came from whether it was loss in family passing away or it was loss of relationships with friends and family. 2021 would be, I would say, the best way to describe it. It was the end of my period where it was finally time for me to be able to heal those relationships and to be able to move on in spite of the mourning and loss of my family, because I think this past 2 years, now counting my mom, I have lost I think about 4 or 5 of my family members.
This year or
both?
So you said last year you felt a lot of pain, but this year you finally ended the pain. So what happened?
For the past 8 years, I was a straight A student. I was always the top of my class. I was kind of the student that would always ask the teacher for a harder question, because I always aimed to be the top at everything I do in my life, to ensure that I'm doing right by my parents who invest so much, to ensure that everything I do, it's not wasting their time, nor it's wasting my own, because I felt like that was the very least I could do for them. But as time went on, it became harder and harder to do those things, because there was a point in time where I was so focused on trying to achieve excellence that I lost myself, because I was becoming less and less of myself and more of just like a robot or just being lifeless. Because I would work to the point where it would hurt me physically and mentally. So when I went to DTS, it was God showing me that I can have the ability to rest. It is okay to make a mistake, because in the end, God always covers me. And so having the freedom of knowing that I can do my best, but if I still fail, I can still keep going. In our DTS, before then, I didn't really trust people. I didn't think they were worth it. I always think human people would always betray you, hurt you, or they were just too slow, because no one would keep up with me.
Yeah, so Mana, you were born in a Christian family. You knew God, you were a little boy. So then what happened in DTS? You truly have this security in God.
I think part of it has to do with the fact that I was in a Christian family, but then if there's pros and cons to being in a Christian family, the pro of it is that you understand who God is. Like, they teach you to have a missionary family. Like, mine, see the results of being an evangelist. Like, people would say missionary is a very job because you don't get paid. And they're just like, well, how do you have a sustainable life without getting paid? It was just like, we're able to sustain ourselves because God is supporting us. Like, my uncle, he needed a car in order to drive, and then all of a sudden a random person that he was preaching to was so moved that he bought him a brand new car. And so it's just like, that's how a missionary lives. We live off the faith of others. But for me, I always understood the word, but I never applied it into my life. And DTS was a place where I finally was able, for myself, without being forced it upon me, choose to try it. And not only just hear and say, oh yeah, I'm Christian, but also actually walk out as a Christian. And not just any Christian, but still being myself and finding who I really am under God's.
Oh yeah, I remember when the outreach fee, how much did you lack?
That night I owed $3,500.
35.
I received that money that same night.
I remember that night so
yeah, because I remember that time I was very angry. Very sad, because I felt like I wasn't going to make it. All this hard work and all this improvement with God, all these things He's done for me, and then all I had left was 2 cents, and I owed $3,500.
Yeah.
And there's a point where I was like, God, why am I here if I'm only gonna just do it halfway? I hate the idea of not fulfilling it. And there was a point where God says, take your 2 cents and throw it outside. I was like, God, these are all I have. And he's like, what you have is 2 cents worth of faith. When I say throw it outside, what I really mean is throw it to me. That's what Jesus was telling me. And he said, give me your 2 cents and I will pay you.
Wow, you literally heard.
Oh, I was very angry. I threw them out. I was like screaming because I was so mad and kind of felt defeated. But the moment I entered back in the room, I saw that it was fully paid.
Really dramatic. It's really dramatic.
Yeah, and to this day, I still don't know who.
That's probably many people, not just one person.
Yeah.
So do you think this experience allowed you to really encounter God's faithfulness so you can fully surrender?
Yeah, I think it helped me understand what it means to put faith in God and provisions. And not just the culture of my people, but just like my family in general. Everything you have was everything you earned. Everything you earn is because you worked hard enough to get it. Even though my family are missionaries, my parents were the most hardworking people. My dad would always have 5 to 6 jobs ever since he was 9. And my mom, even though she comes from a royal family, even she herself had, she was the top. She was a very smart and intellectual person. She earned her scholarships and her diplomas. And in my sisters, they even did so as well. It was like they all were really very smart and very capable people, and they always knew how to work at their finest. But with me, it was always trying to keep up with that, trying to see, can I at least match them? But when I went to outreach, especially for DTS, it was where I realized I do have to do my best, but I do not have to compare myself to others. Because no one else is like my parents. No one else are like my sisters, but there is no one else like me. God, there's a reason why all of us are unique. And that's because God says the standard is you guys, us, his children, were meant to be individuals, but we were also meant to be a community. We were meant to be set apart. That way we can do what we do best, and that's being ourselves. And with that, I was able to exercise and test out how much faith can I put into God and how much will God respond. From the money to my tailbone being broken. My tailbone being broken and healed on the same day. From learning an instrument I never played to having a song recorded. Preaching in a language I've never spoken before.
Amazing memories from the outreach. I remember Mana created a song in Spanish. He didn't speak Spanish, but he just had talent from God. Like 2 days, and he created this song in Spanish and played the ukulele that never really learned. So only that is like a miracle. So wherever we go, we went, he just played this song. The presence of the Lord is there, and people love it, and people really got by the Holy Spirit. I remember he was slide, and we prayed for him on the bus, and I remember feel the Holy Spirit, the healing.
I remember feeling that too, like it was, and I could feel both of your hands burning. But what was interesting is I realized it was broken when I tried to sit up, and then I felt like 2 pieces of my bones just like separated. But as you guys were praying, it was like I felt a third hand that grabbed those 2 separate pieces and crushed them back into one piece.
Wow, amazing. That's the hand of God. So Mana has experienced a lot of joy and also pain during this DTS and the outreach. So I remember you also lost your auntie. Is that right?
The night I found out she passed away, it was 3 days after she had actually passed away, and no one had told me. Like, the pain was more so not just knowing that I lost my auntie, but it was also knowing that no one was willing to tell me. And it was like, because she was one of my first supporters in DTS, and it was just like I haven't seen her in a decade. And I was like, she's my second mom. And it's the point where I was on the roof of our building, and I was like just praying and crying to God. I was like, God, all I want is to be able to see her and say goodbye, and hope that she didn't forget who I was. And it was that night, it was like I actually did see her, and I was actually able to say goodbye. So when I went down to you guys, I honestly didn't want to go downstairs because there was still a part of me that was not really open to being so vulnerable, but it was being down there with you guys. It was God's way of really healing the pain I've had from others, people who left me behind, and the people I trusted and were loyal to, and who would defend to a fault, and they abandoned me. And so I never really trusted people were there for me, and it was like, to me, that was the first time I could find saying, there are people that I can call.
I really remember that night.